Well, good morning, everyone. May 22nd, and here we are at the Ark Encounter. Beautiful sunny day, blue sky. Hasn't been like that for a few days. We had lots of storms and rain, which is always it's a hindrance to the construction we have going on here at the Ark. But I wanted to give you a sneak preview at what's under construction right now. Some of it will be open this coming weekend, Memorial Day weekend, because that's the 10-year anniversary of the Creation Museum. Actually, we're opening a big new exhibit there at the Creation Museum, but we'll be opening some enhancements here, which I think you'll be excited about. And so we want to have a look at those. And I thought I'd show you the new queue-line gardens. Things have really changed here at the Ark Encounter. I mean, we've added a lot of stuff inside as well, and we're also continuing to add in things. And I see a big tour bus just arrived here, and the shuttle buses are arriving with lots of visitors coming. There's thousands of people coming in every day. And even for a Monday, I mean, this is before Memorial Day weekend. I mean, but really the summer vacation time, the busy time, sort of starts officially next weekend, Memorial Day weekend. But we've had thousands coming every day here at the Ark Encounter. In fact, if you want to see an article on the economic impact that this has had on Grant County, 128% increase in tourism dollars, and on Northern Kentucky in general, actually, we'll pin a link to an article right at the top of the comments here so that you can go there and actually read about that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take you into the new queue-line gardens. Now, when we first opened the Ark, this was just a path, a concrete path, and that's all it was. Well, now our horticultural team have planted these gardens, and of course they will start to grow like crazy here now because they're all irrigated. They have an irrigation system in here. They have a number of tropical plants, bananas to pronounce it correctly for Americans, I guess, banana trees. And I want to show you my favorite tree, because there is a favorite tree here of mine. But these gardens are absolutely beautiful, and the different plants that they have in here and what they've done to this area. Give this another 2-3 weeks, it's even going to look amazing. It looks amazing now, but this really is an enhancement now to the queue lines. I'll show you this tree over here. In Australia we have what's called a bottle tree, and they actually grow with a big thick trunk that looks like the shape of a bottle. And my wife and I have to give credit to my wife. When we first got this about 20 years ago, it was just a little stick. It's a slow grower, and she nurtured it in a pot for me, and she's nurtured it for 20 years actually. Yeah, about 20 years. And then it got too big to be in our house, and it needs to come inside for the winter, so they'll dig it out of here and they have a big pot, they put it in and put it in the greenhouse for the winter. But here it is. So this is an Australian bottle tree. How about that? And it has really grown from a little thin stick to what it is today. So that's my favorite tree because, well, my wife looked after that for me for 20 years. She always called it my stick tree. It doesn't look like a stick tree, does it? Well, it did for a few years. And I promised her it would get better, and it did. So now we can't even keep it at home. So it's great to see it in the queue-line gardens here. So you see the rest of the plants here. This is what people experience when they come into the Ark. They'll come in through this pathway. Actually, it makes the whole queue-line area look so much bigger now with these gardens and these pergolas. It really is a beautiful entrance. We continue to enhance everything here at the Ark. I tell you, it is so, well, it's sad, but it's humorous. What is sad but humorous is the secularists keep trying to say that this whole place is failing and it's falling apart and nobody's coming. I think, you know, they sort of have this idea that if you say things enough, people will start to believe it. But there's so many people coming here every day. There's a few thousand expected today, just looking at the groups and others, and we're going to have some massive days here in the future. On Saturday we had 5,000 people here, and I'm trying to think, at the museum I think there was well over between 2,000 and 3,000, nearly 8,000 people between both places actually. And they're going to be smaller days compared to some that we know are coming up in the summer. And so this is where people walk in, and I see people just starting to stream over here now. And then they'll go down through these queue lines right here. There are times when these queue lines are fairly full. So we're just getting to opening right now here as people are coming across from the parking lot. That's why I wanted to get here early before all the people came, actually. And of course, you know what the secularists do? They'll take pictures from our video where we're showing nobody here, and they'll say that's how it is all the time. That's the sort of stuff they do. But I'm used to that. Let's go out here and look. When we opened the Ark, we actually had the board lay down 12 stones because I said the Ark are our stones of remembrance, in a sense. When Joshua built a memorial of 12 stones to remind people, to remind children of what God had done, and also to be a witness to the world. Well, the Ark is our 12 stones, if you like. And that was what we did at opening. And so now we've actually replaced the ones that we used as props, and we have a permanent exhibit going in here. We've got a sign going in soon, and then we'll open up the pathway through here. People won't be allowed to go up on the ramp, but they will be allowed to come up here. And then I want to see as many parents and children, as many people as possible, get their photograph in front of the 12 stones with the Ark in the background. So that's a new exhibit that'll be going in and functioning very, very soon. Let's come over here. I want to go and show you we're building an East Village. We're the East Village over here, and then we're building a West Village. And we'll give a bit of a walk around and show you what's happening here. The East Village and the West Village. We're also doing some expansion at the back of the Ark and putting in some extra food places. Now, the concrete floor that you see there, that's for an aviary. There are 3 aviaries going in here, and that's one of them. They're a little bit behind in schedule because of all the rain we've had. You can see some of the water still lying around. And we've got 6 big monument stones telling the history of the universe that go in down here as well. We can show you one of them. They thought they'd have a second one in by now, but again, the rain has held everything up, and that's what it's like this time of year in spring. But you can see footings here. That's where the monument stones go. There's 6 of them all together. So we'll go up here and see the one that they've actually put in and give you a look at that. These are exciting times here at the Ark. I mean, this is an incredibly popular attraction, and we're getting massive numbers of tour buses, including many secular tours, and they're finding that the tours with the Ark and the museum are actually booked out early. And I've been talking to some of the tour operators, and they're excited. People love coming here to the Ark and the museum, and there are a lot of people who are not necessarily Christians who come, but they appreciate the sensitive way that we actually present things and the fact that it's so high quality. I think they really, really appreciate that. So let me come over here. This is one of the monument stones. You can see the size of this stone here. So I'm about 6 foot tall. Well, I used to be 6 foot. I'm not sure what I am now since I get older. Don't you shrink? Something like that. But anyway, you can get an idea that these are very, very large. And this one here, you can see the tree that's there, and there's God making Eve here from Adam. Here's Adam and Eve, and you see the 2 trees down the bottom here, representing the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God told Adam not to eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so you can see how it's going to be telling the history of the world here and of man and entrance of sin and death and so on. So it'll be the history in Genesis all the way through here. And there'll be signs that'll go with these too that'll explain what's on there. You can see the aviaries that are under construction. Here's one of them here. So there'll be 3 aviaries with all sorts of different birds down here. And then over behind there's an area where we're going to have some goats. People have fun interacting with some of our animals associated with our petting zoo. We have a petting zoo and a zoo here behind the Ark. And there's a new zipline tower that's gone in there. So instead of starting their zipline course back down the hill towards the parking lot, it actually starts right here now. And the zip lines are very, very popular. When they're finished, there's going to be 9 miles of zip lines. Now some of the zip lines here at the Ark are already over 2,000 feet long, and they go across the valleys, across the tops of the trees. At the museum, we have zip lines that go through the trees, and we have sky bridges and a challenge course. They're sort of two very different zip line courses, and so a lot of people like to come and do both. But the Ark and the museum will have the two best zip line courses in the Midwest. Now these are the new topiaries. As you can see here, these are the elephants, and they're going to fill these up with moss. They have two giraffes down further, and then we've got two more pairs of topiaries. They just took them out to get the area leveled where they're going to be put there, and where they're standing, and then they'll go back in. There's two lions, and I'm trying to think what the other two are. Two camels, I believe, and we've got the two giraffes down there, and these are the two elephants. So they're just finishing up all the irrigation around the lake, and then they start putting in more of the landscaping around the lake. You can see they're already here. They've been putting these posts in and the rope around the lake, and already it's starting to look so much nicer. They've redone the sides of the lake with grass, hydro seed. They planted it, and with the rain and the irrigation, it's all come out beautifully. And you can see where they've got some beds in here now where there'll be plants, so they'll start to plant that, I think, this week, now that they finish the queue-line gardens. And see, they put a lot of trees in there at the East Village, and we'll go over to the West Village and show you what's happening there, because there's some real exciting things happening over there at the West Village. Then over behind this fence here, we're actually getting the area surveyed and ready to build a 2,500 seat auditorium. So we have a 1,000-seat auditorium at the Creation Museum, but we wanted a much bigger one down here, so we're building a 2,500 seat auditorium, and there's various people have been donating towards that, and we've actually got the money to enable us to start, and we continue to raise funds for that too. So we can use that for having our presentations here every day, and then even others who have conferences can come in and be able to use it. So it's going to be exciting. That should be ready early next year, is our timeline on that right now. It takes, from the time we get the actual permits to finish construction, is probably about 6 months, but that depends on weather but other factors too. But we're hoping that that'll be ready by spring of next year. So you see some of the people already starting to come to the Ark today. And if you're one of those secularists watching, they're not people, they're just cardboard cutouts that are walking. Okay, just so that you don't get the idea that there's lots of people coming here. I know I'm being a little sarcastic, but these people, they just can't stand it. These secularists cannot stand it that we have such a Christian-themed attraction that's attracting thousands of people a day, and it's impacting people spiritually, and that's what they don't want. So this is the West Village. You can see they put these gardens in here. Over here we're going to have an artisan working in there, doing all sorts of painting, and people with different crafts. That'll be in that particular area. This is going to have food. This should be open this coming weekend, would you believe? They're just going to put a couple of air conditioners in that today. They've already got equipment in there, refrigerators and sinks, and let's see if we can do a little peek in here, a little peek in the window, and we might be able to have a look in here. Let's see, here we go. Oh yeah, you can see we're getting ready. This will sell hot dogs and other interesting things, other interesting items that we all like to eat. So if we go down here a bit further, they just got to finish this garden here. They're waiting until they finish the construction, but this will even be planted this week. You can see the gardens here and what they've been doing. And then over here we have a stage, so we actually have people that come in and sing a little bit of country, bluegrass. There'll be lots of others as well. Hey, we have Stephen Curtis Chapman coming here in August, our first big concert here at the Ark, and if you're interested in that, we'll pin that at the top here, the link to go to find out all about that. People can obtain tickets. It's going to be a big stage put up here, big outdoor place where people will be able to come and hear him. So this is a stage we have here, and we'll have people performing here at various times too. Just like, you know, when you go to Disney or you go to Dollywood, places like that, every now and then they have people that come and sing or play music or whatever. So we have this little stage here, and we have some kiosks. As you can see, they're almost finished, these kiosks. And this area down here, this where they're painting right now, this particular building is going to be for potters, and we have a few people who make pottery who are going to be in there, and we'll have the pots in there, and at certain times we'll have actual potters in there making pots. So we're really enhancing this whole area. And this West Village area, and look at the beautiful gardens they put in here, this West Village, and as we look back on it here, most of it should be open to the public this coming weekend. So they're really working on this hard now to get everything finished up, and they should be selling food here this coming weekend. We just haven't had enough places for food, even though we've got a 1,500 seat restaurant over here, and we have snack bars on deck 1 and deck 2. We add the snack bar on deck 2 now in the Ark. We still haven't had enough places for food, and we have some carts now that we got permits for, and selling lemonade and ice cream. So people, you know, we want people to come here. It's a family friendly place. It's a Christian place. It has a Christian message, but they can come and know they can have a great time and enjoy it and have fun. And the same at the Creation Museum. This coming weekend at the Creation Museum is the 10th anniversary of the opening of the Creation Museum. Think about the fact that the secularists were saying it would close down within a year or two, and it wouldn't last, and people wouldn't come, and we've had over 3 million people come to the Creation Museum. But now, since the Ark has opened, attendance has tripled. So absolutely phenomenal, and these tours are coming in from all over the country. That's the interesting thing. 90 to 95% of people who come to the Ark Museum are outside of Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. And that's a unique aspect of it. Most of the local tourist places draw from, you know, the surrounding 3 states, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, but the Ark draws from all across America and around the world. And so it brings all this economic impact into Kentucky as well. I was just up in Michigan, spoke at Lansing at a homeschool conference up there, and had someone tell me that they bring a big group from their church down in June, and they said they couldn't get a hotel in the area. They had to go north of Cincinnati to get a hotel because they're all booked out. And we're hearing that from many, many others as well. That's the sort of thing that's happening, and that's why the hotel owners just love us in the whole of northern Kentucky, because their room rates, night bookings are way, way up. So we're putting in a smokehouse here. Actually, we have this big smoker where they're going to smoke brisket, and this will have really nice food for people. Over the back here with the zoo, we're going to be expanding the zoo back here. That will be the next job after all this is done. All behind this fence, we're going to expand the zoo. We're putting in a new set of restrooms in the zoo right now, and we've just continued to enhance all the grounds, and we're putting a lot of signs up. See the sign up here? When we first opened, we just didn't have the time to get all of this sort of thing done, but now they've been working hard on this. Even Zara's Kitchen, our 1,500 seat restaurant, if you have a look over here at the beautiful gardens that we have in front now, and we finished the outside. When we first opened, the outside wasn't finished, even though it was functioning. But now all that is finished, and wow, I just look at this and say, this place is amazing. Let's go for a little walk around here again.
Someone asked, will people be able to try pottery making?
Will people be able to try pottery making? You know, I do not know. at this stage. All I know is we've got, I think there's 3 potters that are going to come and be a part of this, and then we'll decide which particular machine we'll get. And it may be that they'll do that at certain times. I think what we'll be able to do as time goes on is to even put what times they'll be there and that sort of thing. Right now we just got to get that whole area open, and of course it'll all be enhanced itself once we get everything opened and running here. We got some other food places that are going in as well, and this is becoming what we said it would be. It'll be a major park. It already is. You know, when you think about the Ark itself, each deck is a major attraction. 1.5 times the length of a football field for each deck. And then even just the outside is a major attraction. And then just the wood inside is a major attraction. And then we've got these enhancements now on the outside. We get that 2,500 seat auditorium done, and we're already planning the wall city that goes beyond that. And then the Tower of Babel, and then the first century village, and the amphitheater, and so it goes on. These are the gardens they put in here. You know, when they built the Ark here, they had to take the ground down about 25 feet, and now we're basically down to bedrock. We're down to rock. And so all of the concrete piers that the Ark sits on go down 4 feet into solid rock. Well, to actually get any plants to grow here, what they had to do, you think of the amount of work here. Look at this garden right here. They had to actually dig down, I think they dig down a couple of feet and take out all the rock. Might even be more than that. And then they bring in loads of topsoil and then the plants to put in here. So all the gardens had to be specially dug and all the soil brought in. I think our horticultural team has got an amazing job, and they've still got thousands and thousands of annuals to plant, and they'll be planting those soon. And there you get a picture of the Ark from the bow end, as you can see there. Okay, if anyone has any questions, Maria, our videographer, will try to read them. If you've got any questions before I finish off here, and any questions about the Ark, or so there are a number of questions, but go. Okay, do I suggest purchasing tickets online before arrival? Here's what I would say. Particularly for all the busy time, which is now right through to October, if you do purchase your tickets online, what that means is when you come to the ticket area, you park at the 4,000 space parking lot, come to the ticket area, you'll be able to have your ticket scanned and get on the bus more quickly. So yes, it will speed things up if you do that. And I encourage you to do that.
Someone was asking about when the restaurant
When the restaurant, yeah, eventually we're going to have a rooftop restaurant. There's sort of a roof deck. We put in a deck in the roof, and we're going to have a restaurant up there. But that's another enhancement that will come in the future. So that will take quite a lot of dollars to do. So in the meantime, we're doing everything we can on the outside, and we'll eventually get to that. I can't tell you a time scale on that. We really wanted it open this year, but it's not going to be this year. But let's see what happens next year. So, any other questions?
Are there projected opening years for the future?
Are there projected opening years for the future phases? Sort of. I mean, we've sort of got general plans that the Wall City will be open in, hopefully a couple of years, but we sort of build it as we go. So the 2,500 seat auditorium is actually a part of the Wall City. It fits in the Wall City area. So when that's finished, we'll start on something else there. So for the completion of the Wall City, we're looking at a couple of years, we think. But I know when it comes to construction, nothing ever is what you think it is. Everything takes longer than it does. Everything costs more than it does. Everything is harder than it is. There's sorts of phrases that we use. But we're continuing to expand anyway. We're going to expand the zoo. We hope to start that in June, July, and that whole expansion of the zoo will be ready by the end of the year.
At some point, will there be workshops and presentations of the art like there are?
Yeah, time will there be workshops and presentations at the Ark? Yes, beginning next year. because that's when we believe we'll have the 2,500 seat auditorium open, and so we will have workshops, presentations, just like we do at the Creation Museum, and that's the reason we're building that. And we also believe some church conferences will want to come here too and use the facility. So we, as it is now, we've introduced special teaching programs on animals. They do it at the zoo and the petting zoo, and they do that at the Creation Museum petting zoo as well. But here on the second deck, there's a special place where animals come in every day. We have a special freight elevator. They take them up in, and they have animals up there for a few hours, and they do teaching programs with them. It's a special area on deck 2. So we've already started that, and we're doing that now as well. Is it handicapped accessible? We wouldn't be allowed to open if it wasn't. It's as simple as that. Yes. In fact, there are ramps. When you go in the queue lines, then you go up a big long ramp to get up to deck 1, then deck 2, then deck 3. There are elevators. We have electric scooters. In fact, we have a lot of 55 and older groups that are coming and have been coming, and so we have a lot of those electric scooters and wheelchairs and strollers that people can rent here. And yes, the whole place is handicapped accessible. When it comes to the restaurant, we have a massive restaurant, 1,500 seat restaurant, and of course everyone can just come in the front door there, and any people who are in wheelchairs or scooters can fit in there on the ground floor, which is where the big taxidermy display is anyway. I love to see all these little children coming and see families coming with their kids and coming to learn about the truth of God's Word and the Gospel right here at the Ark Encounter.
What has been your most frustrating issue/problem relating to the whole project?
What's been the most frustrating issue relating to the whole project? I'll tell you what I think the most frustrating issue is, that much of the secular media and the secularists have spread such lies about the tourism tax incentive, lies about the number of people coming to the Ark. And the reason that's frustrating is because what it's done is it's actually hurt the people of Kentucky, particularly in this area, because we've actually talked to businessmen who said because of what they heard from these secularists and read in the secular newspapers, they decided not to invest in building a hotel in this area or invest in a restaurant. And now they're starting to realize they were so wrong. So that's been the most frustrating part, is just, well, you know, it's happening all the time in politics anyway. All the fake news that's out there. And really it comes down to the fact we're Christian, this is a Christian facility, and the secularists cannot stand a Christian facility having freedom to proclaim the truth of God's Word. And so they so wanted to shut this down, they so wanted to stop us. They thought if they told enough lies about the tourism tax incentive that would stop the building of it. But that had nothing to do with the building of it, because this is totally privately funded. Again, we have articles on our website if you want to go there and read about the tourism tax incentive. In fact, that is only an incentive for a rebate based on the sales tax we generate here inside the Ark, and we'll generate this year much more sales tax than we'll get in rebate anyway, let alone all the sales tax that's generated outside of the Ark. Other than that, I would say some of the rain, because the spring rains, and you know, we want rains, and farmers want rain, and that's great. Of course, it's caused us to be delayed here a little bit in our construction, but nonetheless, we continue on, and the Lord is good. And look at the beautiful day we have today, that beautiful blue sky, and we give praise to the Lord for the rain anyway, because the plants need it, the farmers need it, so that's just we'd be really upset if we didn't get rain, actually. Okay, any other questions?
What kind of impact have you seen spiritually? Do you have any encouraging stories?
Okay, what impact spiritually? You know, just like with the museum, after a while, as you start to meet people who've been here, you start to get all sorts of feedback. I'll just give you one example. A couple of weeks ago, one of our staff was stopped by someone and said, you know, do you work here? Because they had an Ark Encounter shirt on. And they said, just want to tell you, we were sitting watching the movie on the third deck. It's called As in the Days of Noah. This is a movie that has only been in there for a few weeks now, because we finished it and built a theatre there in the stern end. And he said, as I was sitting there, he said, after watching that movie, my son-in-law committed his life to Christ. And we're receiving more and more testimonies like that. People who are coming, I hear people say to me, wow, this has meant so much to my kids. I didn't have the answers. And you actually can go through the ark and stand there and watch mums and dads reading the signs to their kids and teaching their kids as they go through. It's amazing. And they tell me what an impact that has had on them. I've had people tell me they brought their non-Christian family members and they've been greatly challenged by it, and it's enabled them to be able to share more about God's Word and the Gospel with them. So yes, we're seeing a lot of feedback, increasingly so, on the spiritual impact of the ark, which is the most important impact. I mean, the economic impact is fantastic, but the spiritual impact is the most important.
Someone asked about their daughter being sensitive to sound. Should she bring earmuffs inside the ark?
Daughter being sensitive to sound, to bring earmuffs, yeah, then I would, because we do have music, especially composed music, through all of the ark, so that's a constant sound that there gives a great environment for people. But yes, if someone has that sound sensitivity, and we have one of our family members in Australia who does, so I know what that's like, and so I would say yes, bring those earmuffs so that that doesn't cause a problem. And our staff will help you in any way whatsoever. We want to be able to make the experience fantastic for everyone. So if anyone has any special needs, just ask and we will do our best to help you, because that's what we're on about. Well, is there any other questions, Maria? No, we need to finish anyway, because I seem like I've been going on for millions and millions of years here, but I just get so excited. I tell you, every time I come down here, every time I've been down here hundreds of times, I look at this ark and I say, this place is amazing. It really is. It really is an amazing place. And you see the door up there, and of course inside the door, that's on the second deck, and inside that door has a cross that's subtly lit on the top, and that's one of the favorite photo spots for people. And I think once these topiaries are done over here as well, that's going to be a favorite photo spot. You can actually see in the background, maybe, it's a bit far over there, but in the East Village, the aviaries that are being built, and just a continual line of people that come in as the buses drop them off. And a lot of the tour buses tend to come from 10 o'clock onwards. Was it last Wednesday? We had 40 tour buses here at the Ark and 29 at the Creation Museum. So we will continue to enhance this place and encourage families to come. What a great vacation place. And by the way, make Northern Kentucky your stop for a family vacation, because come to the Ark, come to the Creation Museum. Every Creation Museum ticket is a 2-day ticket. And get a combo ticket to the Ark and the Creation Museum, and then go to Newport Aquarium, the Air Force Museum in Dayton, which is free, is the biggest and I believe best in the world. I believe it's much superior to the Smithsonian personally. It's absolutely incredible, and you can learn about world history, World War I, World War II, the space age. There's a lot of other things to do in northern Kentucky, and I've had people come here and say, we never would have thought of Kentucky as a place for a vacation, but we came here, went to the Ark and the Museum, and they said it is such a beautiful area, and the places that are around here, I mean, like the Newport Aquarium down on the river, there's other things down on the river to do, some wonderful restaurants down there as well. Go on a riverboat cruise, a lot of people do that. There on the mighty Ohio River. I mean, there's so much to do in northern Kentucky, and people have done that, have said, we never realized Kentucky was such a beautiful place to come and such a great place to have a vacation. So there you are. Come to northern Kentucky and enjoy the Ark, the Creation Museum, and all the other things that we have in this great state. And we'll talk to you all another time. Signing off now.